just want the stigma, a lot of the mental wellness and mental health and mental illness. I want a lot of that stigma to be just like gone. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. If you can't sell what it is that you're offering, whether that's a product or a service or a lifestyle or whatever, you won't sell it. And if it's your baby, you have to be able to sell that. So, and not be afraid of what people think, because you'll always have someone who doesn't like it. There's always somebody who will never drink kombucha. That's fine. Like, those aren't my people. And for every one hater, you know, there's at least 10 who will support you. In a couple weeks, like, mid-month, I'll be launching actually single serving 6-packs of kombucha for the holidays. And so these seasonal 6-packs will have 6 little bottles of kombucha in them, and there will be one flavor out of every 6-pack that is a brand new BAR STAR BUCH brew, only available in the 6-packs. So super limited edition, super exclusive, VIP, and people love it. So a lot of people think that it takes sheer willpower to sober up or to fix yourself in whatever way that you want to, but it's actually a lot of faith. So it's a lot of faith and a lot of feeling, and through that is healing and getting to like the root of those wounds.
On this note, I want to cheers kombuchas to you, and I want
to right out of the bottle.
Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to another inspirational episode of the Startup Impact Show. I am Shivi, your host for the show. We started the show this year with the idea to share influential and empowering stories that will help you get out of your matrix, unlock your true potential, and share your gifts with the world. Our today's guest and our today's episode is a really, really special one. First, this is our last episode for 2020 before we close for Christmas and New Year. So here we are supporting the local Calgary business. Also, our today's guest on the show is the face of women empowerment, founder and owner of BAR STAR BUCH Kombucha, Suzanne Mills. Suzanne is an Alberta-born girl in Edmonton. During her initial years, she was overweight, shy, and geeky by all standards, but was friends with everyone, especially when she was drinking at a party. After high school, Suzanne went to Lethbridge College and then to SAIT, and yet she did not know what she wanted to do when she was growing up. So by age of 20, she was a new mom and wife who secretly suffered postpartum depression, disordered eating, and survived a suicide attempt. By age of 26, Suzanne was a divorced single mom. She had a 6-figure salary working in oil and gas and was finally a homeowner and called Calgary her home. From what it looked on the outside, she had a perfect life, a fabulous job, a happy child. She had a nice car, great clothes, glamorous friends, fancy vacations. It appeared to be the lifestyle everyone wants, except for the partying. It was the drinking that would eventually bring Suzanne down to her knees. Various toxic relationships took the biggest toll on her because she realized she didn't have many meaningful relationships, the whole deep-hearted connection she craved. And after mental breakdown and a visit with her psychologist, in 2014, Suzanne landed in her first AA meeting. After sobbing hysterically through her first meeting, Suzanne decided that she has to quit her oil and gas career and all the toxic relationship she was in at that time and get it together for the sake of her young child, her young son. She was one hell bent on going to Mexico to get her yoga teaching training certificate because it was always her dream not only to teach yoga but to open her yoga studio. In 2016, she took a major leap and opened The Bar, which was her vision of what a bar should really be. Booze-free with kombucha on tap, yoga classes, and arts workshop with some major retail therapy items too. Though her yoga studio was her passion project and her baby, she realized she could not support her clients as much as she wanted because she wanted to do something more. But because of her workaholism burnout, she has to sold her business. After much hesitation, in February 2019, Bar Star Bush was finally born. Her favorite quote, as she says, fear of when the fear of not doing something outweighs the fear of doing something, that's the perfect time to leap and to do it. So please help me in welcoming Suzanne, who defies all the odds, and here she is. She's here with us to share her journey and to make an impact here. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for joining us on the show. We welcome you with both of our hearts open, our arms open. I am so excited and thrilled to have you.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Shivi. Yeah, thank you so much. That was, yeah, hearing you read that intro was almost bringing me to tears because it has been one hell of a ride, I'll tell you that.
I would not lie, Suzanne. When I was reading that, when I was saying that, I was having shivers. And this is not the first time. Yesterday, when I was researching, I was looking you. I I was at the time I couldn't sleep. I was like, "Man,
Aw.
what a journey she has been. You are a fighter, Suzanne, and I'm really honored to have you today, to speak to you, to have you in my social circle, my power circle. You are definitely
Ugh.
the face of women empowerment, Suzanne.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for asking me to be here today and to speak with you. And yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you, Suzanne. I was reading when I was reading your bio, when I was looking for you, I really wanted to know, as a woman, as a as a human, as how did you defy all the odds, like your journey from being an engineering student, and you didn't want it to be an engineer, then you started to look for a legal assistant, and then leaving that, starting a career in oil and gas, leaving everything, your fancy lifestyle, which everybody dream of having it, and then going back from scratch, going to Mexico, doing yoga classes, and now you are here today. How did it all happen? What went through you, in you? How did you manage to cope up with that?
I don't know, honestly. I think, when I was, so my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned his own business, but my dad was also an alcoholic in recovery, and he struggled with it for most of his life as well. But when I was so I always, when somebody asks you as a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't want to be a ballerina. Some kids want to be a firefighter, all those sorts of things. But for me, it was always, I want to own my own business. And I had no idea, and looking back now, I remember that. But I had no idea what I wanted that business to be. And so, yeah, in high school, I went to college for geomatics engineering. I thought that was something that I wanted to do. And then it turns out I failed horribly at physics. And, at the same time, I was also, when I started college, I was 17. And then when I turned 18, that's when the whole party scene here in Alberta starts at that age. And yeah, that just became probably the start of my drinking career. So I failed miserably at physics, which is a thing that you need for engineering, obviously. So then I thought, well, I was always interested in the law. And so from there, I transferred to SAIT and loved learning about the law. And during that program, when I was in SAIT, that's when I would meet what I call my future ex-husband, and got pregnant, got married, stopped doing post-secondary, ended up with a divorce, and then decided that I would go back to school. So then I'd gone to a career counselor, went to Olds College for a completely different program, which is called Surface Land Management now, and graduated on the honor roll, actually, and didn't work in surface land. I ended up in directional drilling. in the office doing drilling optimization and well planning. And I loved that job. It was problem solving. It was speaking to different types of people, like in downtown Calgary. I kind of like that job of being a problem solver liaison between field people and downtown people. And yeah, that's when, you know, I got the salary and the lifestyle. And yeah, that's kind of how I guess it all, the whole start of the bomb started to brew.
And Suzanne, I must say here that I have not, it's not every day that I meet people like you who are so kind hearted. Yet you have been through so much, but yet that notion of giving back to the community, doing everything in your power to support people, it's, I don't meet people like you every day. And to say that, I must say that today we have received amazing gifts from your end. So I'm really excited that we are toasting today to alcohol free kombucha, which is my favorite. So I'm gonna open and I'm gonna try this.
Good, because I brought mine too.
You did
So
too. Thank you so much for gifting us special gifts during Christmas and New Year. It's really a celebratory time. So tell us how okay, so when you decided to start yoga, why did you stop the bar and opened kombucha? Like it could be like together, or it could have been hiring more people and starting the bar. Like, but why did you close your child, it's like your baby base? Why did you close it and started kombucha?
yeah, so the bar was like, that was always the dream. That was what I was telling myself why I was working so hard in oil and gas, because that was my pipe dream, to always have a yoga studio. I started doing yoga probably, oh man, I did it on and off for years, since I was probably 16, and always liked it. It was a consistent thing, and then fell in love with it over time. And so that was my pipe dream, was that's why I was working so hard in oil and gas, to save money, to open this yoga studio, and to get out of, I knew that it was a toxic environment. To get out of that, that was kind of my long-term plan. And then when I was laid off in 2015, when all of the layoffs were happening here in town, I decided that I didn't want to go back into that cycle of getting a job, getting laid off, because I'd already been through a couple of those, and it sucks, like being a single mom and not having like a consistent job. Like, I think the longest time I ever worked at a place was 2 years, because it was always just like a cyclical thing, and I wanted more consistency. So took the leap and did the yoga teacher training, and came back, eventually opened up the yoga studio. And when I sold it, I was already burnt out, because basically I'd quit drinking, but I still had addictive behaviors. So rather than drinking, I kind of like just poured myself into this business, and it was my life. It eventually became my identity, which I found out on days that I wouldn't go to the bar and be the face of that space, people wouldn't show up. So like, I had hired people to, work there, but I guess it was just the relationships that I had with people, that they valued our conversation so much, and so did I. But obviously, like, yes, I loved being the bartender and the yoga teacher and your coffee maker and the kombucha person. Like, it was fantastic. But on the other hand, like, I had to still like pay the bills. I had to order supplies. I had to plan classes. I had to get other people in there. And that was all.
There's a whole different thing, behind the scene, which people are not really seeing about it.
Exactly. And so I just became very drained. And then And then my brother-in-law got sick. So my sister, her husband, and their baby were here over the summer of 2018. And then out of the blue, he collapsed and ended up with a diagnosis of brain cancer. So at 30 years old, no signs or symptoms.
Right.
He collapsed and was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so at that point, I just decided, okay, this business is my baby and it's my dream, but I also don't feel, energized by it because I just had given so much to that business, give everything that I had to that business.
Yeah.
And now this whole thing with my family, I had to give to them.
Right.
And it was just too much. And so I obviously chose family over work, which has always been an integrity thing for me ever since oil and gas days. And so I said to myself, I'm going to sell this business, or if it doesn't sell, I'm just going to close it by September 30th of 2018, which is my birthday, ironically. And, the papers were signed on September 29th, and it was new ownership, new everything. And then that allowed me some time off to stay home, hang out with my niece while my sister was at the hospital with her husband. And yeah, it was just like, I call it like, it was a literal shit show. all of it, everything happened all at once.
Yeah. 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 So when you say that, I was reading this, and when you say that opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
So how bad was the addiction to drinking, and did it grow over time, or how did you manage to even leave it and go back completely sober? How did that transition happen?
So a company that I was working for in 2014 ended up going bankrupt. And so I took the severance package money, and that's when I made the decision to go to yoga teacher training, because I was actually seeing a life coach at this time, because I know I was already planning my escape out of that job. And then when it went bankrupt, it was like that actually aligned perfectly. And so then I had the money to go and do the yoga teacher training. And so at that same time, I had seen a life coach, a psychologist, and both of them, didn't know about each other, but separate, but at the same time, both of them basically said to me, you need to quit this job. You need to quit the relationship that I was in at the time. And basically you need to start all over. And so what's your dream? And that's when I said, oh, the yoga studio. Well, what do you need to own a yoga studio? Probably be a yoga teacher. So at kind of like, I call it the Suzanne tsunami. So like all these things always kind of like hit me all at once.
Yeah.
And it's all about like, you have to make a decision and trusting your gut. So I ended the relationship, which that person was basically a drinking buddy. And I think he also had a problem, but wasn't really willing to acknowledge that, which is fine. Because really at the end of the day, you're the only one who can fix your problem if you think you actually have one. So my drinking, I wouldn't say like, I didn't drink every day, but I would go on binge drinking like sprees. So like I would go for a month, 2 months, and be totally fine and normal. And then it would be like, once all of these stressful things over the course of that time would stack up, then it would be like the stars would align. I would call up, my girlfriends, we would go out for lunch, have wine. Then it would turn into like, well, we've had too much wine, we can't go back to the office now, so let's just sit here. And then it would just turn into like an all-night thing. And so yeah, that's kind of how it progressed, I guess you could say. And I'd always, reflecting on that was why it took me to acknowledge for such a long time that I had a problem, is because the stigma of an alcoholic is that it's someone that drinks every day and gets drunk every day. But that's not true. It's simply like, that's one instance. But when I was getting blackout drunk once or twice a month, I mean, it took a psychologist telling me, you know, when you get blackout drunk like that, that's your brain actually shutting down because it's had too much. So what kind of damage do you think that's doing to your brain, to your body, the rest of your body? Because you're still functioning like normal, you're still walking around, you're still talking, but your brain is shut down. So what's that kind of damage is that doing, but physically, but also like emotionally and spiritually too. So that was actually a really eye-opening aha moment for me when she had actually said it to me like that.
I feel like the most important thing that you pointed out here was a realization. Like most people have this habit of drinking, but they don't realize that when to stop and how to stop. And I feel like you made those conscious decisions of seeing a life coach, of seeing a psychologist, like started having that power circle around you who empowers you. Like, you know, says like, if you want to be a millionaire, hang around with millionaires. If you want to be an entrepreneur, hang around with the entrepreneurs. So now if you want to be focused on your life, who better than guiding you than a psychologist or a life coach around it? So you started making this conscious decision, which I think was the most important point of making you realize as when to stop and where to stop about it. And you had a dream. So my thing is like, what would you say to people like who have this habit, how they should understand that when they have to stop, or what are the some, because people go back to drinking once they become sober. Some of them go back to drinking, which is very common out there. So what would you say to them, like how they should be focused on their willpower, their determination?
No, so I actually don't think that. I think a lot of people, well, for starters, you need to ask yourself why you're drinking or why you have these addictive behaviors. What is it in you that you are trying to fill with that? You know, for me, it was like, well, why are you getting blackout drunk? Why can't you just, this was another thing, was why can't you just have one or two? You know, and like, that's just not in me. And, you know, step one, you know, I go to AA meetings, I still do. But step one is like admitting powerlessness over that. And I think actually like over alcohol, over anything, like I've abused food, I've abused fitness, alcohol, drugs, shopping, anything. And internet, social media, we all have these tendencies. And so I think it's just asking yourself why you're using this as a coping mechanism. So what is it that you're trying to fill? But also I think the problem that a lot of people have about why they relapse or go back into like those old habits, for one, it's a comfort zone. So you know what you're going to expect. And I mean, like, I'm lucky because I managed it because I didn't lose my house. I didn't lose my kid. I didn't lose my job. I didn't really lose anything because of those binge nights. But I lost like physical, but I'd lost like self-respect, self-worth, integrity, which was like, that was a really hard one for me to look at, that's what I was doing. And all those other things too. But a lot of people think that it takes sheer willpower to sober up or to fix yourself in whatever way that you want to, but it's actually a lot of faith. So it's a lot of faith and a lot of feeling, and through that is healing and getting to like the root of those wounds, and which is a constant, you know, I hate the onion theory about peeling layers back. I think it's overstated, but like I'm still dealing with stuff that, you know, is all linked back to childhood and having these feelings that I have, and trying to, yeah, just make myself better for when I do give back, you know, so I can be more engaged with that.
Yeah. So you started living more of a conscious life. You
Absolutely.
started realizing like what I'm doing, why am I doing, what's my purpose out here, what am I losing, what am I gaining out of it. You started like, you know, having those important questions to ask. But even to ask those questions, you need to be in that mindset. You need to
Absolutely.
be in the mindset to understand that what am I doing and how am I doing to it. So Suzanne, I mean, we all know how brave you are. We all know how amazing you have been through shares, but you have taken out your courage out there and you have been there. So on this note, I want to cheers kombuchas to you. And
Yeah.
I
Cheers.
want,
I'm gonna get right out of the bottle.
yeah. And I want to say that it takes a village to build what you have done. It takes a complete mindset to build what you have done. And no wonder this amazing drink, kombucha drink, we can toast it, we can toast it in the bar, we can toast it in the parties, and yet be around friends and people to it. So cheers to our new friendships around it.
Absolutely. And you know, it's like when you talk about mindset and having, you know, basically this support team behind you, like it's not pretty either. And you know, when my psychologist told me you need to go to AA meeting tomorrow, do you think anybody wants to hear that? You know, like that is a hard truth. And I pay this person like $200 an hour to tell me that. And that is not something that anybody wants to hear. But I think coming at it with an objective, you know, perspective, and with, you know, with that mindset of being, how can I be my best self? And if it's a suggestion that that's something that will take me up to the next level, then of course, like, of course I'm going to at least look into this and lean into it a little bit and see where it takes me.
Yeah, sure. And what you said, you completely nailed to the point that you have to start from somewhere. You have to start like when people start comparing to others that where they are at the life point, they don't realize that life is not a race. Like it's not a race. Nobody can win over another. We have to start at some point. So is I'm coming back to kombucha at the moment, and while I was drinking kombucha and you were talking about it, it tastes amazing. So, what makes your kombucha so unique? So, like with your love, I know you made it with love, so that is a flavor for sure. So, but
Yeah,
what made kombucha so special to others?
it's not only made with love, I also put badassery into it as well, sometimes some rainbows too. But mine's unique because it, so kombucha has a hippie stigma tagged to it. And so that was part of my branding, was how can I make this cool and hip and sexy and trendy, and so that it's accessible to everybody. You know, I wanted it to be the, you know, the rock star monster energy, you know, that type of brand style vibe. How can I make it more appealing to average people, not just the hippies and the yogis and all of that? So that was a big part of my branding. And then
Which is
the
your favorite kombucha drink? And I was reading the ingredient; it has amazing health benefits. Which is your favorite?
Yeah, so that was another thing that I thought was missing the mark with other kombucha companies. And because of the health journey that I've been on, so I've had gut issues for years, and I've been on every supplement, I've seen every specialist, naturopath, all of that. But it really clicked for me when my brother-in-law was sick. He was on turmeric, he was on the chaga and reishi, all those mushrooms. And, they were just pills. Like he was just like so many pills. And I was like, what if I put some of these ingredients in the kombucha? Because, people aren't going to normally eat mushroom pills. So if they're going to drink a little bit of kombucha, they can get a little bit extra with those ingredients. So that's also like a very intentional thing that I have with the kombucha, is that every flavor is intentionally crafted, and not only for taste, but also to have those little extra things that you wouldn't normally have.
Yeah. And which one is your favorite? Because I have tried two right now and I love both. Which is your favorite?
I would say right now it is, which I'm going to give you this one. It's called Big Büch. It's got the chaga and the reishi mushroom, and then it has clove, cinnamon, and vanilla. So it's like this warm chai flavor. And I only have that one in fall and winter, but it's one of my favorites. And then my other one, I'm a ginger person, so I have a ginger lime mint flavor called Basic Büch. It's like a mojito or a Moscow Mule. So good.
Amazing. I'm gonna try all of those for sure. So Suzanne, saying about kombucha, what is like festive season is here right now. We are here in Christmas and New Year and holidays, and people uh, are not gonna go party as much as they did last year. But still, we are gonna buy booze, we are gonna buy drinks, kombucha for sure. So, what is something that is new coming up for kombucha? What do you wanna tell people during the holiday season with the kombucha drink?
Yeah, so I personally don't drink obviously or party anymore like that, but I still like to get out in social settings, and I know we're super restricted right now with COVID, but a lot of people, even if, and I don't judge if people drink, I mean, to each their own, but kombucha also is known as the hangover cure, which a lot of people don't know. So if you've had some boozy nights and you're really feeling yucky the next day, you drink kombucha and it will, like, I've heard testimonials of this multiple times, that it will help people. So like they'll help them feel better. And then also, as an alternative to mixing your drinks with pop or soda, kombucha is actually a really great low sugar alternative, because the reason why you are hungover is because of the sugar in your body. So kombucha is a great alternative for that. But also I promote a lot of mocktails. So, and I have tons of recipes for these too that I do share on social media and on email newsletters with people, so that they can get a little bit crafty at home. And also, because it is the holidays, if you are going to be spending time with family, it makes it less awkward, for people that don't drink, or if they're just like simply on a cleanse, or if they're just not drinking for whatever reason and they really don't want to be asked if they're pregnant or something like that because they're not drinking.
Yeah.
So we'll have something nice available for them. And with that, in a couple weeks, like, yeah, mid-month, I'll be launching actually single serving 6-packs of kombucha for the holidays. And so these seasonal 6-packs will have 6 little bottles of kombucha in them, and there will be one flavor out of every 6-pack that is a brand new Bar Star Buch brew, only available in the 6-packs. So super limited edition, super exclusive, VIP, and people love it. So I'm excited.
I'm excited. I'm gonna look forward for that. It's amazing. So this is the first time we are hearing about the launch of the small 6 bottle with every flavors of kombucha. This is great. I'm gonna try each flavor, so I'm gonna know which is my favorite. But so far, I'm trying this, so this is great. What does this has in it?
So that flavor that you have there is I call it the vitamin C booster. So it's got strawberry, rose, and goji berry in it. And actually that one is it started out as one of my seasonal flavors that was for charity. But because everybody loved that flavor so much, I ended up bringing it back and then keeping it on as one of my core flavors that I always have now available. And I kept the charity partnership with them. So cerebral palsy kids and families based here in Calgary gets 100% of the profits from all of the sales on that particular flavor.
Oh, great. Amazing. Um, so Suzanne, tell us where we could like, let's say if you want to go out and if you want to drink, but we don't want to drink booze, we want to drink kombucha, where all we could find you.
So right now, we are slowly working on to getting into all of the Blush Lane grocery locations. So right now we're in Calgary Bridgeland location on tap. So that's where you can just go fill up a bottle, take it home. Or I have subscription programs also where you get home delivery, zero waste kombucha right to your house, right to your doorstep. That's been really popular, especially over COVID. And then slowly working its way into more bars and restaurants. I just got a new one today, super exciting, but they aren't bringing it in till the new year, so I can't really announce that yet.
So that.
Yeah, they're really like, it's downtown Calgary. They're super excited, and yeah, it's all going to be on the website as it comes out, so I can't do any spoiler alerts right now, but Instagram and website is where it will all be. So
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna look forward to it and probably hang around to those bars more.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great because it's just, once you can have this non-alcoholic, this cool non-alcoholic drink in spaces like that, it helps break down the stigma, because there's so much shame associated with being somebody that is in AA or doesn't drink or whatever, because the options are so limited unless you want water or something off the kids menu, or pop, which is super high in sugar. So people that don't drink are essentially healthy people, so they don't want pop or anything super sugary. They want something cool. They don't want to have anybody judge them for it. And yeah, there's definitely some great spaces where the Büch will be.
I'm gonna look forward to it. So Suzanne, tell me something. Like I'm derailing this conversation, but I love that little snowman behind you, and that reminded me. I heard somewhere. What is it up to you with you and socks?
Oh, socks. I never wear socks. As much as I only wear socks when I have to wear gym shoes when I work out. Um, it's so funny. I just had this conversation with a friend of mine, and we went to Banff on the weekend, and it was cold, and I just did. Yeah, you're not wearing socks? Nope. Well, aren't your feet cold? Nope. Um, don't your shoes get all weird and gross and funky? Nope. That's so weird. I don't know. I just never do. And so,
It's,
yeah.
it's funny. It's funny, and I also wanted to share that as how we met. So we definitely met through a common friend, and I want to say this to the audience there, that it's not every day. And I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. It's not every day I meet people like Suzanne, who is my power circle around it, who has been. Who has heard me in my tough times, guided me through it. And I still remember our first conversation over Zoom. We ended up laughing, we ended up like smiling. It doesn't happen every time that you meet a founder and an entrepreneur who is so successful and still so grounded. And especially Suzanne, about you, like this is something I personally wanted to know, that your life journey, like initially starting from changing the career to being single mom to have a mortgage, again going back to college, start going for yoga, leaving your amazing six-figure salary out there, then starting a company, selling that, again starting it, and yet you are so grounded. Yet you are so modest. You want to do everything in your capacity to help people out there. How did like how did it all came to you? How did you become what of a person that that you are today?
Sheer stubbornness. And yeah, I think I've always wanted to help people. So yeah, that's always been like my goal. And I think because of I've had a ton of struggles throughout the years, you know, like I was just born into this. And yeah, I've always wanted to help people, and I've always wanted to show up for my son, especially, who's now 15. And, you know, I get even so many compliments on just how good of a kid he is. I just and feel so lucky and thankful, even though my life has been like literally just like a tornado. It seems like, you know, when I think about it all at once, like the last for sure 20 years has been just like a crazy tornado. And I sometimes think, you know, I couldn't do it without obviously supportive friends and inspirational people like you, Hafiz, who introduced us, who you've also interviewed on here. He's great. Just like, you know, my therapist. Yeah, I mean, that tight knit group, you know, they say quality over quantity for friends. And my thing is like, because I'm so busy all the time, I sometimes wonder, well, maybe I'm not spending enough time with my friends as I should. But on the other hand, whenever I do have that friend time, it's like, well, actually, I have probably 4 or 5 people who don't want me to die. So that's like my crew. Like those are the people who know all my deep, dark, dirty secrets, all the shadowy stuff, but also they're the same people who can celebrate my accomplishments. We celebrate each other's accomplishments and also like push each other to, you know, do those things that, you know, reach for the stars. That's what's super important to have. And I think that's been like my one grounding force, is not only having that support team, but in those really dark times and feeling like I didn't have a reason, for me, it was my son. So if it was like I couldn't do something for myself, I was going to do this for him. And yeah, that's kind of always been my I guess like the skeleton of what keeps me like in this, you know, moment in the now. And yeah, I read a ton of books. I read a lot for knowledge. I don't read a lot of like frou-frou fiction stuff. I love books. They are my passion. So yeah, anybody needs a recommendation on a self-help book for anything, I have got a whole library, and yeah, we'll do it.
You did amazing with the community, Suzanne, no doubt on that. So what I wanted to ask you here is, you have been a serial entrepreneur. This is your second gig, which is really successful at the moment. And at present, what we are seeing right now in COVID is there are much more job losses than ever before. So either people are going or transitioning into a different field, especially with all the oil and gas scenario happening, or they are starting their own passion as an entrepreneur. What would you advise to people who are starting their own passion as an entrepreneur? What would be your advice to them? Any learnings from your end that they should watch out, or they should practice as an aspiring entrepreneur?
Yeah, great question. I would say lean on your network. Network is huge. Friends, family, even randomly messaging people that you kind of have on a pedestal, that are already entrepreneurs, messaging them, DMing them directly and asking for help, because most of us love helping people. We've learned it the hard way. And I've also found that like even connecting with these entrepreneurs who I had on a pedestal, They put on their pants one leg at a time, just like everybody else, and they don't see themselves as like this high and mighty, like magical entrepreneur. They're just a regular person too. And so they just want to, they will help you, and put yourself out there. Also, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. If you can't sell what it is that you're offering, whether that's a product or a service or a lifestyle or whatever, you won't sell it. And if it's your baby, you have to be able to sell that. So, and not be afraid of what people think, because you'll always have someone who doesn't like it. There's always somebody who will never drink kombucha. That's fine. Like, those aren't my people. And for every one hater, you know, there's at least 10 who will support you.
That's a great advice, Suzanne. And I wouldn't have advised better than that. Uh, Also, with your scenario, because you have been an employee, so you have transitioned from an employee to an owner, and you have gone back a couple of times to work into the oil and gas sector, and especially like right now, seeing what is happening around, what would be your advice to the people who are looking for jobs, who are who have either lost their jobs or are COVID affected or are looking for transition and want to get back? So what would be your advice to them in terms of securing a job offer or looking for an employment, as what they should do right now and where they should start from?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would say a lot of people struggle with ego and pride when it comes to losing a job and having to look for something new, because, you know, they've worked so hard to get to like this level, this status, and now they've lost that. So now they have to like get knocked down a few notches. That's in your head. You are missing out on so many opportunities if you aren't willing to try something new. And that's something that I had to work through. Even with the yoga studio, you know, there were definitely days when I was making someone a coffee or pouring a cup of kombucha and thought to myself, really, like, really, Suzanne, you went from like $100,000+ per year to now you're making someone a coffee for $3.50. Like, really? But then in the next, like, I let that thought come out. And then in the next breath, it was like, but I actually like this. Like, this actually brings me peace. You know, nobody's breathing down my neck. Nobody has expectations of me or this business or this coffee, really, because this is a peaceful experience. And thank you, you know, universe, God, whatever, you know, my higher self, like, this is what I manifested. And this is the feeling that I wanted to feel in business. And I also, like, this is a side note, but all the business books out there, so guys like Brett Wilson, you know, all the dragons, right? For example, they've all written books where they've either come from nothing or started with nothing, and then they've had to like work up to, you know, that $1 million salary. But in doing so, you know, they've got cancer that they had to fight, they lost their family, divorce, kids won't speak to them, but they're still like up in the, you know, millions of dollars a year. So my thing, and with this business, is there's got to be a different way, because I'm not willing to sacrifice my health or my family for this business. And so it's really hard to find books like that. I don't even know if they exist. So maybe that'll be a book that I write one day, is like the how to. I don't know, because
Yeah, you should.
yeah, because a lot of us really struggle with that, I think, because a lot, you know, like heart-centered entrepreneurs, like I call myself one of those, you're definitely one of those. That whole kind of circle who we've connected through are people like that. And none of us are bajillionaires, but I think coming from like an intentional place. And yeah, I think you can attract not just like the money, but you can attract, the meaningful connections to bring you that feeling of peace and abundance.
Yeah, and I've always believed on top of it is the power of intuition. Like
Mhm.
you always know in your heart that what is right, what is wrong. Like I'm not talking about maintaining a balance sheet, but in the middle of road when you're standing, you don't have any clue what to do, where to go. It is your intuition that guides. And I've always believed like even in the professional or in the personal life, we can do wonders if we can walk on the path that intuition is guiding us, because our inner soul always guides us correctly. It's us who doesn't listen to it, it's us who don't believe to it. And what you just mentioned is like we need to evaluate as what is important to us, what we are ready to uh, give it on the stake, and how we are going to realize that what we really wanted, what our passion is really, and why we are doing everything about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think those are hard questions. And actually, like, that's part of the advice I would give, like, anyone who's thinking of being an entrepreneur or starting a business is like, those will eventually be the things that you will have to look at. So you might as well get comfortable with it now.
Yeah. And as a part of creating this show, the whole idea was to create that community that you're talking about, the community of believers and dreamers and achievers who are the hustlers like you, like our other fellow friends like Hafiz and Robin, etc. So what is the impact, what is the impact that Suzanne wants to create, what is the mark that Suzanne wants to create and wants to leave behind as her legacy?
Oh boy. Yeah, I just want the stigma, a lot of the mental wellness and mental health and mental illness. Um, I want a lot of that stigma to be just like gone. That's part of my thing. And by making, sober, sexy, or even like just healthy living sexy, and it's really a challenge I find even in Calgary because we have so many beer producers. So this town is just saturated in alcohol, and a lot of people feel left out. They feel shameful because they don't want to partake. And yeah, I feel like we're still really working through that. And if I can help people just feel comfortable with who it is that they are, that would be, yeah, I would love through kombucha, I mean, kombucha, I love kombucha so much, but it really is just like the vessel for me to like get that message across.
Right, right. And Suzanne, like let's say if people resonates with your message and wants to have share more information, or even wants to like try more kombucha, so tell us where they could find you or how they could reach out to you.
Yeah, so I'm always open to talking to people. I run my own social media. So Instagram at BAR STAR BUCH. Send me a DM. You're going to get me directly. You can ask me anything. We can talk about if you have questions about sobriety or kombucha or poo problems. Like I talk to a lot of people about that stuff. Strangers, it's hilarious. I have an email, hello at ilovethisbar.ca, and my website is ilovethisbar.ca. So yeah, lots of different ways to reach out.
So then it has been just amazing learnings from you, even like learning from your journey, because I've seen some people who are scared in sharing their story, sharing their vulnerability about it. But that's the whole idea of doing it, getting out, telling our stories, because our power lies in our stories and we should not be ashamed of owning it actually. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and creating women like you, and making the society more beautiful, more powerful, more healthier through kombucha. And especially this being our star episode for 2020 before we close down for Christmas and New Year. So is there any message from your end to the audience before Christmas or holidays, or anything that you want to share on the show?
I just want to wish everyone, a super happy holiday, and that there's always people to talk to and reach out to, and this can be a really hard time of year too, with grief and loss and COVID and not being able to be with friends and family. But they're still only one call away, or one text, or anything like that. And yeah, just to always know that you're not alone, and there's always a ton of people just literally waiting to help you. So I wish everybody, the happiest holiday season, and cheers, booches.
Cheers, booches. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for giving us kombucha. Because sometimes we don't want to drink, but we have to drink because we want to be socially amicable with the friends around. But this kombucha, the color, the feel is amazing. So thank you for making our community more healthier, and giving us a fancier lifestyle, actually.
Yeah, I'm so happy you love it, and it's an honor that you would be willing to try it and to talk to me about all the things. So thank you, Shivi. It's been, you're a blessing, and I love you.
Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. We will catch up soon, and that was a great learning for all our audience, in knowing and sharing the details about your journey, about the impact that you want to create. So it was wonderful to have you on the show, Suzanne. It was an honor to speak with you. Thank you so much. Hey everyone, that was Suzanne Mills on the Startup Impact Show, sharing her inspirational story and empowering journey. And on this note, I want to thank all my viewers for giving their unconditional love and support to the Startup Impact family, to me, on the year 2020, and keeping everyone safe out there. So on this note, I want to wish everyone a very happy New Year 2021 and Merry Christmas. Stay safe and be awesome. And we are going to see you again in the new year in 2021.